I am happy on behalf of the government side to make my presentation this morning on Budget 2022. Mr. Speaker, last Wednesday, the Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance presented Budget 2022 to the National Assembly. The loaded budget, titled Steadfast Against All Challenges, Resolute in Building Our One Guyana, contains key and critical information in relation to the global and regional economic context in part, and detailed information about our domestic economy and budget projections. I take this opportunity to congratulate and to thank the Honorable Minister Dr. Ashni Singh and members of staff for their hard and dedicated work in producing this document. It is a document, Comrade Speaker, for the heavyweights on this side of the House to put into operation. Comrade Speaker, the Minister informed the National Assembly that the global growth is now estimated at 5.9% in 2021, which represents a rebound after nearly 10 billion COVID vaccine doses were administered worldwide. Advanced economies grew by 5%, emerging markets and developing economies grew by 6.5%. We were told that growth prospects for 2022 are subjected to a high level of uncertainty and projected to be lower at 4.4%. Growth in Latin America and the Caribbean is projected at 2.4%. No doubt, Comrade Speaker, global COVID deaths of 5.7 million and confirmed cases of 382 million worldwide would have contributed to this situation. It is in this context, Comrade Speaker, that the debate on 2022 budget should have started. The kind of information contained in the presentation provides enough material for constructive and sometimes critical, and indeed we would have welcomed probing comments by all. But this golden opportunity was squandered by the opposition with much time spent on price for planting, which they didn't get right, sir. The last time I checked was $180. I heard $300 per pound of plantain. Sir, that is not the case. You can go to any market. We heard about trump-up charges, missing elections documents, installed regime. Sir, this government was put in place legitimately by the people of this country. And if we want to use the word installed, we were installed by the people. By the people of Guyana through a democratically held election, which the opposition, which is in government then, tried to derail using all sorts of measures, starting, of course, Mr. Speaker, with the half man that was rounded up to provide 34. And that failed, sir. That obviously failed. So we heard, sir, the complaints about only 2 days were given to scrutinize the budget. So when I checked, the minister did his presentation last Wednesday. The debate started on Monday. Obviously, we have a set of lazy people in the opposition who works only on working days and probably 2 or 3 hours only. And then it is in this state of mind, sir, they question the capability and the capacity of the government to execute this budget. Sir, I admit it will be challenging to execute with that kind of work mindset, where you only work on working days for 2 or 3 hours. Sir, this government is committed to work 24/7, 7 days a week, to deliver on what Budget 2022 promises. That is our commitment to our people. That is our contract with our people. So I want to talk about tailors and seamstresses, cutting and all of that. So time, like I said, would have been better spent to deal with what is contained in the budget. And the Honorable Member Jordan, sir, who spoke just now, obviously did not read the budget. His comments, sir, are structured in such a way so as to undermine or cause or make an attempt to undermine the one Guyana that we are trying to build. So the members of the opposition are obviously in panic mode, and they're afraid of our stated objective of building a one Guyana, inclusive of all of them. And they're trying their best. They're trying their best, sir, to undermine that effort and talk about preference to one ethnic group. So there's a lot of talk, but nowhere in the presentation are these honorable members bringing anything of substance to the House for the government to act on. They talk about discrimination. Who are we discriminating against? Where are the names? Where are these people located? Which village or which villages or which region are we discriminating against? So the honorable member spoke about the need for a modern hospital in Region 5. It is contained in the budget, sir. And not only one, but I think we will be building six regional hospitals, and one of the location will be in Region 5. So obviously, sir, the member was trying to score cheap political points. So, you know, all of us would like to have an ambulance at every health center. All of us would like to have modern facilities, and that is what the budget is trying to address. Because not only are we going to build these new hospitals, sir, but you have $1 billion, sir, to upgrade health centers across all regions to address critical interventions needed to improve patient experience. And sir, the budget speaks a lot about health. Mr. Speaker, the honorable member spoke about flood relief and the COVID grant, and sought here again to politicize the issue and to give the impression that there was some sort of discrimination in the allocation of flood relief and the COVID assistance. Every single Guyanese deserving and who would have lost to the floods receive assistance. And when the first list left out some person, there was a second round to ensure that those who complained receive the attention of the government through the Ministry of Agriculture and the agencies of the GRDB, NARI, GLDA, and the new GMC. And so the government is still open to consider any other request from any other member of this House that can come up with the evidence that anyone was left out. With the COVID grants, it was the same. Every single household was visited, and every single Guyanese benefited from the COVID grant. So in terms of trumped up charges, I was a victim, Comrade Speaker. The Honorable Dharamkumar was a victim. The Honorable Ashley Singh was a victim. Sir, I recall the rubber stamp Prime Minister shouting across the aisle, saying, 100 million, we're going to lock you up. Sir, they searched near and they searched far. They searched low and they searched high. They tried everything and they couldn't find anything at all. They sent the auditors, they sent the detectives, and all they could have come up with, sir, is attempt to commit fraud by failure to make entries into a ledger which members of the board of directors, sir, never ever saw. How can you, sir, How can you charge a member of a board of directors who spent a maximum of 2 hours at an institution with failing to make entries into a ledger? So the very government that charged me and charged Dharamkumar and others, in our case, sir, the very government, the AP and UAFC government, was forced to withdraw the charges. And those charges against me, sir, were dismissed under the tenure of the AP and UAFC. Some tried to make it out that the Honorable Ashley Singh fled the country, sir. Fled the country. The Honorable Ashley Singh after left to feed his family, to look for a job. And when the honorable member learned that there were charges against him, he came promptly back to Guyana to face up those charges. And again, sir, proven in a court of law with competent jurisdiction that they were trumped up charges. This is not newcomer, Speaker. In 1973, sir, I think it was in August of 1973, the PNC government trumped up merger charges against Arnold Rampersad in Berbice, following the July 1973 elections, which the PNC rigged to give themselves a 2/3 majority in the parliament. Trumped up charges against Arnold Rampersad, and after three trials and many years languishing in prison without the benefit of speaking to lawyers and families, that gentleman, they brought it to tongue. You know why they brought it to tongue, Mr. Speaker? Defense Counsel, led by Senior Defense Rex McKay. Rex McKay moved a motion. I don't know if you call it a motion. I'm too versed in the court, sir. I didn't spend any time there, although he was charged. They dismissed the case. But the prosecution chief lawyer, Senior Counsel Rex McKay, moved in the court, sir, to get the matter transferred to Georgetown, saying that the jurors were biased against the government and supporters of the PPP. And sir, Defense Counsel, Senior Counsel B.O. Adams do not sing, and include Maurice Bishop of Grenada, and Dr. Walter Rodney, I think, also played a part in the defense of Arnold Rampersad. A wide cross-section of lawyers against the Trump-up charges. B.O. Adams, in a counterpunch, demolished the argument of Rex McKay by saying that the July 1973 elections results showed that the PNC won a huge majority in Region 6. And how can you now come and say that the jurors of Region 6 are supporters of the PPP? Knock the argument out of the window, sir. And we see the continuation of that kind of behavior, Mr. Speaker. The continuation of that kind of, because as recent as 2020, after measures would have been put in place to cut out stealing of the ballots as a place of poll by the counting of the ballot at the place of the poll, we saw elements of GCOM supported by the APNU AFC trying to rig the election. So the door was opened by the Honorable Mike Paul, and we must put the record straight. I want to speak on the budget, sir, but these matters must be put to rest, because one RO tried with a spreadsheet, a bed sheet, and then incoherent mumblings to try to convince people that the APNU AFC won the election. So the CARICOM Observers Mission, and I want to quote again, I did it last year, and I want to quote again, that this was a transparent effort to alter the course of a democratically held elections. And sir, Bruce Golding went on to say, it took a man of great courage to try to alter the results of an election in the face of such a sturdy paper trail. So, Mr. Speaker, the rigging is in the DNA of the PNC. Sir, and look what happened here recently when we were debating the bill on the Natural Resource Fund. Sir, you know, every ship has a captain. Every school a headmaster or a headmistress. And every parliament, I suppose, would have had a speaker to ensure that things are run the way they are supposed to be done.
Thank you, Honorable Member. That's why I will ensure you can conclude by asking someone to move. You get 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask that the honourable member be given 5 minutes to conclude his presentation.
Thank you, Honorable Minister Teixeira. Honorable Member, you may proceed.
Thank you, Comrade Speaker. But, Comrade Speaker, the behavior was so atrocious. Not only did they try to disrupt the sitting of the National Assembly, they damaged state property. They still damaged state property. And then, sir, when you, sir, managed to bring order back to the House and ensure that we proceed with the subsequent reading and passing of the bill, they're now trying to get rid of you, sir, by moving a motion of no confidence against you. Sir, this bullyism and rowdy behavior must come to an end. We must behave properly in this National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, I want to skip all these pages and come, sir, in wrapping up, Mr. Speaker. In wrapping up, sir, to put this budget in the context that people will understand, sir. I heard utterances like this is an oil sector budget. The Honorable Ramjatan said that there is little money for the non-oil sector. Sir, most of the money in this budget is for the non-oil sector. And I will describe this budget as a non-oil and gas budget, because the resources and the allocation of the resources in this budget goes towards the development of a foundation that will support a superstructure to ensure that Guyana's economy moves from one of developing to develop. And for that, sir, you need a solid foundation, a foundation by way of infrastructure development that will ensure that this government can provide the services that we so badly needed. Sir, according to the Global Competitiveness Index prepared by the World Bank Global Forum, out of 140 economies, Guyana ranked 104 in terms of road infrastructure. So how can we develop this country without putting major investment in road infrastructure? Sir, in terms of port infrastructure, we rank number 87. We rank number 93 in air transport infrastructure. We must put our infrastructure right so that our people can enjoy a better life. And that is why we're making substantial investment in health, in education, in agriculture, in drainage and irrigation, in farm-to-market roads, in our young children, the uniform support, the We Care grant, in our elderly. So all these investments and more to come in the years ahead is ensuring that we position our people, we position our country for the eventuality of a non-oil and gas economy. That, sir, is the overall objective of our government, to use the resources available now to build a solid foundation that will support a superstructure of services to our people that will be that can rival the infrastructure and the standard of living of the developed world. Sir, without further hesitation, I commend with absolute certainty, sir, with absolute certainty, I commend budget 2022 to the National Assembly for unanimous passage. Thank you, Comrade Speaker.